Hi, this is Erica Dixon Gavin coming to you along with Chuck and Ed on TV Confidential. Here we go.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that award-winning writer, producer, director, and now podcast host Joseph Wallenstein will join us in our second hour. We hope you stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Chuck Harter is with us for part 2 of our look at the roughly 5 to 7 year era of network, syndicated, and locally produced shows that in many respects broke the mold in television, not only because they featured popular music acts such as the Byrds and the Righteous Brothers, but because they were specifically programmed for young people. When Chuck was here last time, we focused mostly on the 3 major network pop music shows of this era, Shindig, Hullabaloo, and where the action is as we pick up the conversation.
So now, in at least 1965, now you've got 2 once a week or twice a week primetime shows. You've got a 5-day-a-week syndicated show. So now there's lots of teen pop music on you can catch if you were a fan. And most teenagers in those days were. And that's another point. I mean, now, I don't know, I think teenagers start today at about 9 or something with the internet. You know, they're children for about 2 years and then they grow up or whatever. Now, a teenager has so many different options than music, you know, with video games and all kinds of things on the smartphone and Instagram and all this social media communication. In those days, pop music or music was very important to kids.
Yeah.
It was sort of their thing. They didn't have a whole lot of options. You could watch TV, listen to records, watch your records on television.
But almost every kid had a transistor radio.
Absolutely. And a little record player.
Yeah.
You know, that could play 45 RPMs or albums, you know. So music meant a lot more to kids in the 60s than I think it does now. That's what made it so exciting, where you could see them, you could listen to them whenever you wanted to, and you could read a little bit about them in the liner notes on the albums or the few teen mags, because at that time in the mid-60s, there wasn't any serious rock journalism. That hadn't happened yet. That came in about 67-ish into 8. So it was teen magazines like 16 Magazine, Tiger Beat, Teen Screen, Flip, that sort of thing, which were primarily geared to teenage girls, and so you'd have the pop star's favorite color and what I want to do on a date and that kind of thing. Hit Parader was a magazine that actually covered more of the music, where they would have lyrics and chords and a bit about the recording. But they all kind of covered the scene in a way, and that was it. And again, it was something just for the kids that the parents didn't care about or weren't part of. It was our thing.
Now, where the action is, as we mentioned, was 5 days a week, produced by
Dick Clark.
ABC, Dick Clark. So it was a nationally based.
Right. Syndicated nationally, yeah.
Syndicated nationally. Now, we mentioned before, Chuck came up with a list of about 8 or 10 shows, and we've been more or less going through them chronologically.
Or the bigger ones.
At least the bigger ones, yeah. Now, according to the list that you provided me, a show that it looks like it started locally in the LA market about a year before where the action is, and then became syndicated on a national basis. I'm going to guess one had something to do with the other, this being the Lloyd Thaxton Show.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Lloyd Thaxton Show is yet another pop show that started in January of 64 and ran for an amazing 8 years into the early 70s. Now, memory fails me. I think it was a 5-day-a-week syndicated show. Perhaps a listener will get a hold of Ed through his website or something and let him know. But what was cool about the Lloyd Thaxton Show in many ways was him, because he was an entertainer. He had a great sense of humor. Sometimes he would lip sync to current hits sped up or in a funny outfit. He had a section on the show where kids could lip sync to the new records. He had artists on certainly performing, and that was all lip sync. But it was sort of a little more humor or teen fun type of show than a performance show, literally.
Yes, dear. No, it won't happen again. It's only a show. It's a television show. This time it's my wife. Yeah, it's a fun thing. They're the Shangri-Las. Yeah, you know. I did it as a funny little gag. Okay. I don't know why she has to shout. It's cute for a record.
When I'm with my baby, I feel alright.
Hey, let me get over here because I want to show you, whenever we play the Benny King arrangement of this, I always call this the fight song. See, the Benny King arrangement of Stand By Me is the fight song because, watch this, it kind of goes like this. You ready?
For those who haven't seen this clip, Thaxton is shadowboxing to the beat of the opening of the song.
When the night
And in this corner,
has
Benny
come
King!
and the land is dark and the moon is the
And again, everybody was on there. The Byrds, Jan and Dean. Later, I think the Doors did it. If they didn't, heavier groups did because the show went into the early 70s. So Lloyd Thaxton is yet another one. It's funny, I ran into him in a line in a bank in North Hollywood some years ago, and I recognized him and no one else did. I said, I was right behind him. Excuse me, Lloyd Thaxton. Yeah, and I introduced myself, and I just said, hey, I want to thank you. I love those shows. It was wonderful. He says, oh, yeah, thanks. And I said, how many survive? And he said, well, I've got about 7
Wow.
out of 8 years. And I thought, oh, what a shame. So I don't know if they're in a vault somewhere or he had 7 he saved because he liked the artists that were on or it was a particularly good show. But he was a very nice guy, and he said, yeah, I love doing it, and the kids were great, and I had so much fun doing those, and thank you for remembering. And he was a real gentleman and a nice guy, so it was a nice moment.
Chuck Harter is with us as we take a look at pop music TV shows of the mid to late 1960s, including the Lloyd Thaxton Show. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Oh, here we have, and I say I want to be very serious for only a second because it's very hard to be serious. With you guys.
And
But I wanna
Lloyd
tell you that here's
Thaxton,
a really
another thing I can
fantastically
mention is
talented
he
group of
would
young
take a
gentlemen,
moment
and
and
the reason that they call
interview
themselves
the
the Turtles is
performers.
because that was
There's a great
the
clip
thing
of the
to do.
Turtles
It was
on. It
earlier
did
times
about
they
4
called themselves
songs,
the
and
Six
after
Freshmen.
2, he briefly interviews them, and they were very funny guys, and they're kind of playing around with him, and they're all being very funny and jovial. And then they did their final tune. So Lloyd Thaxton was a real personality. I'd say out of the 4 we've done so far, he probably was the most personable and representative of his show, where the others were just sort of hosts, or Dick Clark was a voiceover. But yeah, Lloyd Thaxton Show, wonderful, and I hope they're all in a vault in Nevada or somewhere, shame.
Well, it sounds like, I know Clark did this in the 70s. I'm going to imagine he did this in the 60s, but a lot of times on Bandstand, in between numbers.
Yeah, he'd interview people.
So
right.
it sounds like either Thaxton took a page out of Clark's book or Clark took a page out of Thaxton's
Probably
book.
both, really, because I think Lloyd Thaxton had worked as a DJ. I'm not certain, but he had that sort of air. But he's a funny guy, you know, and I just remember he was very entertaining and humorous.
Chuck Harter is with us as we take a look at pop music TV shows of the mid to late 1960s.
Now you've got, I think, 2 5-days-a-week show in 1965 and 2 evening shows. So again, if you were a teenager and loved pop music and you took the time and didn't fight with Dad over the TV set in the evening, or maybe you were lucky enough to have your little black and white in your bedroom, you could see all this great stuff, you know, and put a visual
especially if you're
with
grounded.
the record. Yeah, well, yeah, if you're grounded, then I'll stay in and I'll just suffer through Shindig. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But it was cool, you know, and just how wonderful. Again, it was sort of like a private communication world with the teenagers. That this is our half hour and our 3 minutes with no parents or anything, and you just grooved with your performer.
Chuck Harter is with us as we take a look at pop music TV shows of the mid to late 1960s. We'll carry over our conversation with Chuck into our second hour. Then we will welcome back award-winning writer, producer, director, and now podcast host Joseph Wallenstein. All that and more when we come back for hour number 2 of TV Confidential. Please stay with us. We have about a minute left this segment, enough time to tell you that if you're a fan of Prince or know someone who is, a rare, newly remastered release of Prince's iconic 1987 concert film, Sign of the Times, hits IMAX theaters nationwide for 1 week only beginning Friday, August 29th. Widely celebrated for capturing Prince at his creative peak, Sign of the Times blends electrifying concert footage with cinematic storytelling, powerful visuals, and genre-defining sound to deliver a cinematic experience worthy of his genius. It was, and still is, truly the next best thing to seeing Prince live. Only now it's enhanced in the most epic format available. Prince, Sign of the Times, Prince, Sign of the Times playing in IMAX theaters nationwide for 1 week only beginning Friday, August 29th.